Good morning. Today I want to remind you of something powerful, something that can change the way you live, the way you grow, and the way you succeed. Have you ever noticed that sometimes the loudest people in the room aren't always the ones making the greatest impact? They may talk about their plans, their achievements, their dreams, but it's the quiet, focused, and determined ones who often rise higher. There is a unique power in keeping some aspects of your life and your dreams reserved, guarded, and protected. When you choose not to over-explain your actions or plans, you allow the beauty of mystery to work on your behalf. Mystery has a way of keeping people curious, engaged, and most importantly, at a distance from what needs to be nurtured in private. Your vision, your dreams, and the calling on your life are not meant for everyone to dissect, question, or critique. They are uniquely yours, given by God, and they require careful stewardship. When we talk too much about what we're doing or where we're headed, we sometimes open the door to unnecessary scrutiny or negative energy. Not everyone will understand your vision, and not everyone is meant to. That's not a reflection of the value of your dream. It's simply a reality of life. People often filter what they hear through their own insecurities, experiences, or limitations. If you tell someone who doesn't have a big vision about your big plans, they might unintentionally project their small thinking onto you. They might say things like, "Are you sure that's possible?" or "That seems too risky." Even when they mean well, their doubts can plant seeds of uncertainty in your mind. Guarding the power of mystery doesn't mean you're being secretive or dishonest. It means you're being intentional. You're recognizing that not every thought needs to be spoken, not every plan needs to be announced, and not every dream needs an audience before it's fully formed. Think of an artist working on a masterpiece. The process is personal, messy, and deeply creative. It's not something they share with the world until it's complete and ready to be unveiled. If they were to show the half-finished painting to everyone and ask for opinions, they might lose their original vision in a sea of conflicting feedback. The same principle applies to your life. What you're working on, what God is doing in your heart, and where you're headed next are all part of a divine process. By keeping some things close to your chest, you're creating a sacred space where your ideas can grow and mature without interference. You're giving yourself the freedom to make mistakes, adjust your plans, and hear from God without the noise of external voices. There's also a sense of confidence that comes from this kind of discretion. When you don't feel the need to explain yourself to everyone, you're declaring that your worth isn't tied to their understanding or approval. You're saying, "I trust what God has placed in me, and I don't need anyone else to validate it." That kind of confidence is magnetic. People may not know exactly what you're doing, but they'll sense that you're up to something significant. And when the time is right, when your vision has come to fruition, they'll see the results and be inspired by the journey you took. Mystery is not about withholding, it's about protecting. It's about understanding the value of what you carry and treating it with the care it deserves. It's about being wise enough to know when to speak and when to remain silent, when to share and when to wait. In a world that often values oversharing, guarding the power of mystery is a way to honor yourself, your dreams, and the God who gave them to you. Let people see the fruit of your labor rather than the process of your planting. Let them be inspired by what you've accomplished rather than distracted by the steps it took to get there. By guarding the power of mystery, you're not only protecting your vision, but also preparing it to shine even brighter when the time is right. And in doing so, you're honoring the sacredness of the journey that God has uniquely designed for you. There is a profound strength in allowing your actions to speak for themselves. In a world where people are quick to share their plans, boast about their goals, or seek validation through words, there's something powerful about stepping back and letting your results do the talking. It's not about staying silent out of fear or modesty. It's about recognizing that true influence comes from what you accomplish, not from what you promise. Trusting in the outcomes of your work to inspire and influence others is a way of living with humility, focus, and faith in the process. When you choose to let your results speak louder, you are freeing yourself from the need to explain, justify, or convince others of your worth. You're stepping into a posture of quiet confidence, knowing that what you're building or working toward will be evident in time. Words can be empty, but results carry undeniable weight. They are the proof of your effort, your consistency, and your faithfulness to the task. When people see what you've achieved, they can't argue with the tangible evidence of your work. This approach also helps you stay grounded and focused. When you're consumed with telling people what you're doing, you risk becoming more focused on perception than progress. You might feel the pressure to live up to what you've spoken about, and that pressure can distract you from the actual work. But when you trust the process and keep your head down, you create space for true growth. You're not chasing approval or applause. You're simply doing what you were called to do, knowing that the results will speak for themselves in the right season. Letting your results speak louder is not just about personal satisfaction, it's also about inspiring others. There's something deeply motivating about seeing someone succeed quietly and authentically. It shows people that success doesn't require constant broadcasting or self-promotion. It demonstrates that integrity, consistency, and dedication are more powerful than words. When people see the fruit of your labor, they are often more inspired than they would be by hearing about your plans or goals. Results have a way of breaking through doubt, skepticism, and negativity. They tell a story of perseverance and faithfulness that words alone can't convey. This principle also aligns with trusting God's timing. Sometimes the results of your work take time to manifest. If you're constantly talking about what you're doing, you might feel the pressure to produce results prematurely. But when you trust the process and focus on the work, you give God the opportunity to bless it in His perfect timing. The scripture says, "Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time, you will reap a harvest if you do not give up." That harvest will be visible to everyone, and it will speak louder than anything you could have said along the way. Letting your results speak louder is also a practice of humility. It's a way of saying, I don't need to prove myself with words. I trust that my actions and their outcomes will reflect who I am. This humility is attractive and disarming. It sets you apart in a world that often rewards self-promotion and constant noise. It shows that you're secure in who you are and what you're doing, and that security draws others to you. Ultimately, when you focus on the work and trust the outcomes to inspire and influence, you're living in alignment with your purpose. You're not wasting energy trying to convince others of your vision. Instead, you're dedicating that energy to doing the work, growing in your faith, and becoming the person God created you to be. And when the results of your efforts become evident, they will carry a message that words never could. They will inspire, encourage, and leave an impact that goes far beyond anything you could have spoken into existence. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself as you pursue your dreams and calling is the ability to silence unnecessary opinions. Not everyone needs to know what you're working on, where you're headed, or how you plan to get there. In fact, sharing your plans too freely can often create more distractions than clarity. Hey, keeping your plans between you and God, you not only protect your vision, but also create a sacred space for focus, faith, and growth. When you share your plans with others, you open the door to a variety of responses, some supportive, some critical, and some indifferent. While well-meaning advice can be helpful at times, the truth is that not every opinion is necessary or valuable. People view the world through their own experiences, limitations, and fears. What may seem impossible or unwise to them could be entirely achievable for you with God's guidance. If you let these opinions take root in your mind, they can plant seeds of doubt, causing you to second-guess yourself or even abandon your dreams altogether. Keeping your plans between you and God allows you to stay grounded in your purpose. When you look to Him as your ultimate guide, you don't need constant validation from others. God knows the desires of your heart because He placed them there. He understands the path you're on and the challenges you'll face. He doesn't need you to justify your plans to anyone else. Instead, He asks you to trust Him, lean on His wisdom, and walk in faith. By prioritizing His voice above all others, you ensure that your decisions are rooted in divine purpose rather than human opinion. This approach also reduces distractions and noise. When you invite too many voices into your journey, it can become overwhelming. Everyone has an opinion, and those opinions can pull you in different directions. One person might tell you to move faster while another advises caution. Someone might think your dream is too ambitious, while another suggests it's not ambitious enough. Trying to navigate these conflicting perspectives can be exhausting and confusing. But when you keep your plans private, you give yourself the freedom to focus solely on what matters, aligning your efforts with God's plan for your life. There's also a sense of peace that comes from keeping your plans between you and God. You're not seeking approval from others, so you're not affected by their criticism or praise. You're not constantly explaining yourself, so you're not wasting energy on unnecessary conversations. Instead, you're staying quiet, focused, and faithful. This peace allows you to work with greater clarity and confidence, knowing that you're walking in step with God's will. Keeping your plans private doesn't mean you can't seek guidance or counsel. The Bible encourages us to seek wisdom from trusted, godly advisors. But there's a difference between seeking wise counsel and sharing your plans with everyone. Wise counsel comes from people who genuinely care about your growth and are aligned with your values. They listen, encourage, and offer constructive feedback without imposing their own fears or limitations on you. These are the voices you can trust. But beyond that small circle of trusted advisors, it's often best to let your plans remain between you and God. When you choose to keep your plans private, you also create room for God to work in unexpected ways. Sometimes sharing too much can lead to premature conclusions or interference from others. But when you trust God and keep your plans close to your heart, you allow Him to guide you without interruption. His ways are higher than our ways, and His timing is always perfect. By focusing on Him rather than on the opinions of others, you position yourself to receive His blessings in their fullest form. Ultimately, keeping your plans between you and God is an act of faith. It's saying, God, I trust you to lead me. I don't need everyone else's approval because I know your plans for me are good. This trust is freeing, empowering, and transformative. It allows you to move forward with confidence, free from the distractions of unnecessary opinions. And as you stay faithful to the journey, you'll see God's hand at work in ways that inspire and amaze not only you, but also those who witness the results of your faith and dedication. There is a profound strength that comes from practicing discretion, especially when it comes to the dreams, visions, and purposes that God has placed in your heart. What God entrusts to you is sacred, unique, and deeply personal. It is not meant to be shared prematurely or with just anyone. By choosing to guard what has been placed in your heart, you maintain your focus, preserve your energy, and allow your vision to grow in an environment that is free from distraction and doubt. This discretion is not a sign of secrecy or fear. It is a demonstration of wisdom and strength. When God places something in your heart, whether it's a dream, a calling, or a goal, it is often in its most fragile form. Just like a seed planted in the soil, it needs time to take root, grow, and develop before it is ready to withstand external pressures. If you reveal it too soon, you risk exposing it to unnecessary scrutiny or criticism. Not everyone will understand what God has spoken to you, and that's okay. They don't have to, because the vision wasn't given to them. It was given to you. This is why discretion is so vital. It protects the tender beginnings of what God is doing in your life. Discretion also helps you maintain your focus. When you share your plans with too many people, you can inadvertently invite distractions into your journey. People may offer opinions, advice, or even doubts that pull your attention away from what matters most. They may question your choices, challenge your direction, or try to impose their own ideas on your vision. Even well-meaning comments can cause you to second-guess yourself or feel the need to justify your actions. But when you keep your focus on what God has placed in your heart and choose to be discreet, you can stay aligned with His purpose without being swayed by outside influences. There's a quiet power in working behind the scenes, away from the spotlight, and allowing God to guide your steps. When you guard what He has placed in your heart, you give Him the space to refine your character, develop your skills, and prepare you for the next season. This preparation is essential because the vision God has for your life often requires you to grow into the person who can carry it. By exercising discretion, you create the space for this growth to happen without interference. Discretion also builds your confidence. When you don't feel the need to explain or defend your vision to everyone, you affirm your trust in God and His plan for your life. You're saying, I don't need validation from others because I know who gave me this dream. This confidence is deeply rooted in faith, and it allows you to move forward with boldness and clarity. You're not dependent on the approval of others because your focus is on fulfilling the purpose God has placed within you. Another powerful aspect of discretion is that it allows the results of your work to speak for themselves. When the time is right, what God has been cultivating in your heart will come to fruition. People will see the evidence of your faithfulness, dedication, and obedience, and they will be inspired. But until that time comes, your discretion allows you to protect the process. It's a way of honoring the work that God is doing in your life and acknowledging that His timing is perfect. Guarding what God has placed in your heart also fosters a deeper connection with Him. When you choose discretion, you are placing your trust fully in Him rather than seeking input or validation from others. This act of trust strengthens your relationship with God and allows you to hear His voice more clearly. He becomes your primary source of guidance, encouragement, and direction, which is exactly where your focus should be. Ultimately, strength through discretion is about stewardship. It's about recognizing the value of what God has entrusted to you and treating it with care and respect. It's about understanding that not every detail needs to be shared, not every plan needs to be announced, and not every dream needs an audience. By guarding what God has placed in your heart, you are protecting the sacredness of your purpose and positioning yourself to fulfill it with clarity, focus, and faith. Faith is often tested not in moments of clarity, but in the spaces where we must wait, trust, and believe without full understanding. Choosing faith over explanation is a profound act of surrender, one that allows you to focus on God's divine timing rather than seeking immediate validation from others. It is human nature to want others to understand and support our journey, to explain our plans and receive their encouragement. But true faith calls us to trust in God even when the path is unclear and others may not see or grasp what He has placed in our hearts. When you trust in divine timing, you are choosing to believe that God's plans are greater than your own. The Bible says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways," declares the Lord. This reminds us that we don't always need to understand every detail or explain every decision to others. God's plans unfold in ways that are often beyond human comprehension, and His timing is always perfect. When you seek immediate validation from others, you risk shifting your focus from God's direction to the opinions of people who may not fully understand the bigger picture. Faith over explanation is also about patience. In a world that values instant results and constant updates, waiting can feel like a challenge. But God works in seasons, and each season has its purpose. The waiting season is often a time of preparation, growth, and refinement. If you rush to explain yourself or seek approval, you may bypass the lessons and blessings that come from trusting God in the waiting. By keeping your eyes on Him and trusting His timing, you allow the process to unfold as it should, knowing that every step is part of His divine plan. Choosing faith over explanation frees you from the burden of trying to make others understand your journey. Not everyone will see your vision or grasp the fullness of what God is doing in your life. And that's okay, they're not meant to. Your calling is unique to you, and it doesn't require the approval or understanding of others to be valid. When you feel the need to explain yourself, you risk diluting your focus and opening yourself to doubt or discouragement. But when you rest in faith, you find peace in knowing that God's opinion is the only one that truly matters. Faith over explanation also strengthens your relationship with God. When you choose to trust Him rather than seek validation from others, you're saying, God, I believe in you more than I believe in the opinions of people. I trust that you are leading me even when I don't see the whole picture. This trust deepens your connection with Him and allows you to hear His voice more clearly. Instead of being influenced by external noise, you become attuned to His guidance, His encouragement, and His reassurance that you are on the right path. Another powerful aspect of choosing faith over explanation is the freedom it brings. You no longer feel the need to justify your actions, defend your choices, or prove your worth. You are free to focus on what God has called you to do without the weight of trying to please or convince others. This freedom allows you to walk in boldness and confidence, knowing that you are aligned with His will. You are not striving for approval because you are already secure in the knowledge that you are following God's plan. Finally, trusting in divine timing rather than seeking immediate validation allows God's glory to shine through your life. When His plans come to fruition in His perfect timing, the results are often far greater than anything you could have orchestrated on your own. People will see the evidence of His work in your life and be inspired by your faith. Your story becomes a testimony to the power of trusting God and waiting on Him, encouraging others to do the same. Faith over explanation is not about silence or secrecy, it's about surrender. It's about letting go of the need to control how others perceive your journey and placing your trust fully in God. When you embrace this kind of faith, you open the door for His blessings to flow into your life in ways that are beyond your imagination. And as you trust in His timing, you'll find that the validation you were seeking from others is no longer necessary because His approval is all you ever needed. True confidence doesn't require boasting, loud proclamations, or constant explanation. It is rooted in humility, a quiet assurance that comes from knowing your purpose and trusting the process God has set before you. To empower others through humility means carrying yourself with the kind of confidence that speaks louder than words, a confidence grounded not in the need for recognition, but in the certainty of your divine calling. This balance of strength and modesty not only honors your journey, but also inspires others to find strength in their own. Humility is often misunderstood as weakness or self-diminishment, but in reality, it is one of the greatest sources of power. Humility allows you to stand firm in your purpose without feeling the need to prove yourself to anyone. When you are secure in who you are and in the work God has called you to do, you don't need to boast or explain your every move. Your actions, your attitude, and your results will speak volumes. This quiet confidence forms an aura of authenticity and trustworthiness that naturally draws people toward you. When you live and lead with humility, you show that success is not about being in the spotlight, but about serving a greater purpose. It's not about making sure others notice your achievements. It's about staying focused on the work that truly matters. This kind of leadership is powerful because it isn't self-serving. It uplifts, encourages, and empowers others without demanding attention or applause. By embodying humility, you remind people that it's possible to be both confident, approachable, successful, and grounded. Carrying yourself with humility also creates space for collaboration and growth. When you're not fixated on proving yourself, you're more open to learning from others, receiving feedback, and adjusting your course when necessary. You don't see mistakes or setbacks as threats to your ego, but as opportunities to grow and refine your path. This openness not only strengthens your own journey, but also inspires others to adopt a similar mindset of resilience and adaptability. Humility also shifts the focus from self-promotion to service. When you're not preoccupied with boasting about your accomplishments or explaining your intentions, you have more energy to focus on the needs of others. You begin to see your purpose as part of a larger picture, one where your efforts contribute to something greater than yourself. This perspective is empowering not just for you, but for those around you, as it demonstrates that true confidence comes from serving others and fulfilling God's plan rather than seeking validation. When you refrain from boasting or over-explaining, you also allow people to form their own impressions of you based on what they see rather than what you say. This approach often has a greater impact because people are more inspired by tangible results and authentic actions than by words. They witness your dedication, your character, and the fruits of your labor, and they are drawn to the quiet strength that underpins your humility. This in turn empowers them to trust in their own journey without feeling the need to compete or compare. Living with humility also cultivates gratitude. When you recognize that your purpose and success are gifts from God, you become more thankful for the opportunities and blessings in your life. Gratitude keeps you grounded, reminding you that your achievements are not solely the result of your own efforts, but are also a reflection of God's grace and provision. This awareness fosters a deeper sense of responsibility to use your gifts wisely and to uplift others along the way. Ultimately, empowering through humility is about trusting in the strength of your purpose without relying on external validation. It's about letting go of the need to prove yourself and instead focusing on being faithful to what God has called you to do. When you carry yourself with this kind of confidence rooted in humility, you become a living example of how true empowerment comes not from seeking recognition, but from embracing your purpose with grace and authenticity. By embodying humility, you not only empower yourself, but also create an environment where others feel inspired and encouraged to pursue their own callings. Your quiet confidence becomes a beacon of hope and a reminder that strength and humility are not opposites, they are partners. Together, they enable you to walk boldly in your purpose while lifting others up along the way, demonstrating the transformative power of living with faith, focus, and a humble heart.